Reverend Ken Blanchard, host of the Urban Shooter podcast, is with us on the program. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing good, man. Throw some wham in there, too.
It was actually Wham UK to begin with, so that would fit the two-word.
Culture
Sure.
Club.
Yeah. Oh. Ken, pick the Culture Club song we're going to play.
Karma Chameleon.
There you go. All right. Straight from Ken Blanchard. That's not my fault.
Man, I was in the 80s with a high top fade back then.
Oh, and let's see. In the '80s, I had the Flock of Seagulls. big, like up in the air part. My wife still makes fun of the and the bangs like went down over one eye.
Big hair.
Oh, huge hair.
Living in London.
Yeah. Listen, in Baltimore, they it's not necessarily a gun buyback. It was a swap. It was like a guns for Dells swap, where you could turn in a gun and get a laptop computer. Ken, did you go?
No, I didn't make that one.
What do you make of this?
Man, this is part of the new thing that's happening with the gun grabbers. They're actually taking a moderate approach, and they're using this when they're saying this for education, and that's a good buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
And folks have realized that you can't give away tennis shoes to everybody. That's not going to work. You can't give some tickets to a movie or a gift certificate to Walmart to get somebody to turn in a $400 gun. But you can get a little closer if you give them a computer, even if it's a used or reissued one.
Right.
We got a thing going on. I mean, the whole gun grabbing movement, the whole anti-gun, anti-right side is trying to be more moderate, even with former Senator Gabby Gifford. It's a combination. It's kind of part of that same deal.
And it's interesting. Yeah, Angela Janisse, the director of the city's criminal justice office, says the goal of the event was to narrow the digital divide that has left poor city residents disadvantaged in the job market. Quote, when you hand in a gun, we're saying you're putting down violence and picking up an educational opportunity.
Yeah. See how they just moved it away from the argument and making it sound like it's more modern, more middle of the road, safer, smarter, education.
Right. But yeah, the people that Kevin Rector of the Baltimore Sun talked to, like Renee White, she's getting ready to open up a bakery, and she didn't have a computer, but she did have a .22 caliber pistol. So she thought, well, I'll just swap the .22 caliber for the computer, and now I've got a computer. I don't think Renee White was necessarily living a violent life. Before. It sounds like she was getting ready to open up a bakery. You know?
Pulling in entrepreneurs, pulling in a different generic brand, a new demographics that they can hit on. And unfortunately, after she gets successful, she's going to wish she had her pistol again.
Well, that's, I was kind of mentioning that. I mean, Baltimore's, unless the criminals all turn in their guns, Baltimore's still going to have a crime problem. And if she is successful, you know what? She is probably going to want a gun for her personal protection.
Most definitely. That won't change a thing.
So, look, I'm not against the idea of providing opportunity and technology and closing the digital divide. But I am opposed to doing it at the expense of your Second Amendment rights. And I'm really opposed to the idea that you're not entitled to both a laptop computer and a gun for self-defense.
Now, it could have been a smart move if she had already like about 3 or 4 other firearms, and
right.
that one didn't even work.
Right.
And she's making a move so she can get a computer, and that's pretty smart if you do it that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But would they say that is that really putting down violence if you have another gun?
Oh, we know that's not going to happen. They have successfully connected it in the minds of too many people that owning a gun is equal to violence, that owning a gun is equal to murder. And it's one of the biggest lies out there.
Well, now you got folks who are trying to say that, Stand Your Ground is somehow responsible for the death of Trayvon Martin.
Oh, yeah. It's the same thing. They've successfully connected that tragedy with gun control in the minds of people in the city. I heard a guy in church the other day, and I didn't have a chance to argue with him because he was about to go on the pulpit. He was saying, yeah, it's just the NRA. And I thought, oh, dude, don't get me started up in here. We won't never make it to the pulpit. The public is just angry, and they're angry for a whole bunch of different reasons, and you can't even talk civilly anymore. Right now, it's just hot. It's just as hot as it outside. It's hot in the minds of people.
as a pastor, when tempers are this hot, and by the way, do you think tempers are this hot everywhere? Because I got to tell you, I'm not seeing it in the people that I'm interacting with on a daily basis.
Oh, that's a good thing.
It is a very good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I want to. I'm saying that the life that I'm living here in Northern Virginia, and the life that I had over the weekend in Oklahoma City, and Cameron Gray was in L.A. and Las Vegas, and Ed Morrissey we talked to in the Twin Cities. What about you, Ken? I mean, how are things in your world since the verdict came out? Are you seeing in your day-to-day interactions with folks a ratcheting up of racial tension, or a sign that people are really ticked off and riots are getting ready to bust out?
No, I'm blessed too to have a nice circle that is not in my zone right now, but I'm getting touched. There's quite a few people who have emailed me or called me and said, Pastor, somebody needs to talk about this thing. Somebody needs to comment, because I'm getting actually angry from friends that I thought were friends that are emailing and tweeting and saying crazy stuff, and they're making me reassess who my friends are. There's a lot of people who are angry, who have tied gun owners and the Castle Doctrine and the NRA to this tragedy, and none of this stuff is going to bring back Brother Trayvon Martin. None of this stuff is going to help Zimmerman the rest of his life. Like my DI used to say, you can't polish a turd. There's no way to fix this thing. You can't bring that guy back to life. Hate just sells.
Hate sells. And, Ken, I got to say, I think you're right. And I think that is, look, when I worked in TV, local television news, we had a saying, and it was so trite. If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
And that is, there is nothing the news likes better than to cover mayhem.
Yeah. Yeah. And none of that stuff, none of the protest marches, the riots, assaulting of innocent people won't help this mess. Won't heal America.
So let me ask you a question. Can love sell?
On Valentine's Day. Remember, the Temptation said the only person talking about love is the preacher. It's still like that. But I'm also reminded of that rap song that says, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. We're right there.
So what's your advice?
We need to step back, turn off the hate mongers and the dividers. Those who do know the words of prayer need to pray for our families and this nation, because there are too many people close to the edge. Folks are looking for fights and the opportunity to start conflict. Don't be used. If you can't increase the peace, don't add to the noise. And speaking of pieces, keep yours close and watch your back.
Reverend Ken Blanchard, always love talking to you, sir.
Thanks, Cam.
Hey, man, anytime. Really appreciate it. Reverend Ken Blanchard, host of the Urban Shooter podcast, joining us here on Cam and Company.